Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Arknights reaction. Today we have the See You Soon lobby theme. I hope, because I really don't know if this is the right song that I have pulled up, but it seems right, and apparently according to the Darren GA, I need to listen to this, and according to a reply comment, it's illegal to not listen to this one after that one, and it has a similar vibe to Epilogue, albeit I did listen to Epilogue about a month ago because it was a member's first release, so I had to re-listen to it just in case there's something in this song that's like a motif to it or something, so I'll actually pick up on it because it's been a while. But other than that, I'm going to be listening to this one, and without further ado, let's go! It's already fairly similar. God, that cello is rocking in there. This one has a lot more like counter rhythm. It's a lot more happening. Ooh. Yeah, they kind of shifted the vibe there. Threw a little bit of sound design in for some spice. A lot of sound design stuff in this. Got a lot of that tactile stuff going on that I love. Oh god, that cello too. It's that performance. It digs into it. Just right at the base of every line, I suppose. Every stanza. It's more than just like a measure. It's just this, you feel that kind of dig in. Okay, I don't think I heard any motif stuff, but they did just say it sounded similar, not directly connected like that. I'm sure it probably is to some degree, but ooh, it had different things going on than the other one, and I really like it. So I just realized why this one sounded so strangely familiar to me. I didn't mention anything during the video in case I was wrong, but it did have this familiar sound to it, and I wasn't entirely correct on the why. The why being I thought it was the same composer. It's not, but it reminds me a lot of Spring's Pulse, and for those of you who are old hats of the channel, you know how much I fucking adore that song. This has a lot of similar flavor to that one, and a lot of similar things it was doing with sound design, the cello as well. In general, I think it might have been the same key maybe? But I'm not entirely sure. I didn't dig into this one. I didn't try to figure out what key it's in. It just sounds very similar. It might be a relative key or something like that. But either way, this has all of the same things I loved about that song. It feels real, lived in, tactile. There's details in this song that's a lot of sound design stuff, mainly. There was less of that in Spring's Pulse, but it was still definitely there. I think the tactile feeling of that one more or less just came from the emotion that was just pouring out of it. And for this one, there's still emotion in there 100%, but at the same time it had a little bit more fun with the little tactile things, those little details of the clock ticking and these other almost crusty sort of sounds, these crunchy little I don't know how else to explain it, but it's like an ASMR sort of thing, because I don't really get the ASMR feeling, you know, like that's not a response I have, but at the same time, it kind of strikes this vibe that I could understand people having that response while listening to it. It's like, I don't feel it, but I could see people getting really into this song because of those sorts of details and how fine-tuned they are. They're in this like frequency in the high end that's just right in that window that's perfect to make you go ooh and get that shiver down your spine. And then again, the emotional weight of this one was very surprising to me, because I didn't really think it was going to be all that big of a difference from Epilogue, because I thought that they would be like basically the same song with how the comments were phrased. I didn't fully assume that and go into this song expecting to hear the exact same song or anything. I just thought there would be a little bit more shared to it, like a motif, but I didn't really notice anything. If it was subtle enough and maybe just played in a slightly different way that I didn't really feel that there was a motif that was shared. But I might be wrong on that one, you know, like I didn't listen super close when I re-listened to Epilogue, so it's very possible, but it just didn't feel quite like it. It felt more like Spring's Pulse than Epilogue, which is kind of funny considering that those two weren't apparently related at all. And I'm just like, ooh, you know, like again, this is a sound, and it's probably a little bit of the cello too. There's just that energy of, again, kind of digging into the end of the stanzas and making sure that the listener has this like root point to listen to and use that as a groundwork for the next springboard of the next stanza, and continuing that story along. That flow is so important to a song like this that is literally based entirely off of that flow. You can just tell by listening, right? Like, I don't really have to explain that to you. By listening to this song, I'm sure you can all feel how smooth this song is. Even with these little like crunchy details, these like sound design elements that are sitting on the top, it's almost like a spice, you know, like that's just extra stuff. But the main core of the song itself is just fluid. That's all it is. It feels so natural. It goes in and out. It's like earth breathing. And that's the same thing that I felt with Spring's Pulse, and that's probably why it's giving me such a similar vibe. And again, it is a different composer. It's not that at all. That relationship does not exist necessarily, unless these two composers are like closer to each other than I know, because like, why would I? Point aside, they hit a really similar vibe, but for completely different emotions and different feelings. Like Spring's Pulse had this nostalgic energy to it that I made an entire video about, and why that felt nostalgic to me. But this one felt a little bit less nostalgic and more like the sensation you get when that person you love comes home from work after a few days. There's not really a nostalgia attached to that. It's just the happiness of that separation finally being bridged again, and you're in the same space as the person you care about the most. That's more the vibe here. I don't know why that distinction is so distinct to me. I feel like that is a very similar mind space for a lot of people, but for me, nostalgia comes from a very specific point that requires a big distance, time, largely and most commonly being that distance, while this one feels more like space is the distance, not necessarily the time spent between those two moments. It's just you are existing in the same place. You know you have the option to see each other. You know that you have that option to be in the same room and kind of body double with this other person that gives you this feeling. But this is the moment that they walk through the door after just a little bit, you know, not too long, just enough to make sure that it feels comfortable that you're in the same space again. And that is such an odd distinction. I don't know why that is either, because I don't really know the story of Enchilada. I'm going to keep calling her that. So I don't know if this is related directly to that character or anyone she's related to or any of that. It's not anything that I have any privy information to, but I wouldn't really be surprised given that apparently I need to listen to both of these back to back in order to kind of get the same vibe from them. So I'm sure they're probably somewhat related, but I just don't know what relationship Enchilada has with some other person or another place maybe that gives that feeling of bridging that gap of space, not necessarily time. it could be time, but it just doesn't give me that nostalgic flair quite like Spring's Pulse did. That could as well just be the composers being different and having a different approach to that sensation, because music is a very subjective thing, and when you get somebody else who's going to compose something, that feeling is going to be extremely fine-tuned to their lived experience, and it might feel different. You know, like the way my nostalgia triggers to me might be vastly different from yours, and while we might still feel the same feeling, other things might trigger that exact sensation. Even if they are the same emotion, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to walk out of the door feeling the exact same way. But I've also yapped about this one quite a bit, way more than I honestly thought I was going to for such a short song, but that seems to happen a lot. I get the short songs and I yap about them forever. But either way, I'll end my yapping here, so thank you all so very much for watching. If you have another song from Arknights you want me to get to, by all means, drop in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if you don't want to do any of that and maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!